It's your boy Brian Cotton. Keep pounding. I mean, what more can be said about this team this year? 13-9. Read off some scores for you. 16-12, 12-9, 13-9 today. Seattle has Carolina's number. I mean, each and every game has been the exact same. Both defenses show up when they play. And I was proud of the defense today. You know, to hold Seattle to 13 points at home should have been good enough to win. I know that Seattle missed some opportunities in this game. But really, I would say that it's Carolina that blew the game. Because they should have been up 14-0. At least 10-0. Win this game for the first quarter of this game. Missed opportunities. Cam Newton fumbling on the read option. I'm really surprised that doesn't happen more often. That's kind of a risky. You put the ball in the Stewart's or whoever the running back is. I know it was Stewart on that play, but whoever the running back is on the play, you put it in his chest and you either give it to him or you pull back. I'm surprised that fumbles don't happen more often on those plays. I really am. And then he threw a really bad interception. Kelvin Benjamin made a hell of a catch over Earl Thomas. And Richard Sherman. Just on that drive, the thing when I did my game-by-game prediction, I thought Carolina would win this game because it's always come down to 1, 2, 3 plays. And I really thought as I was watching it, Benjamin making that catch. When both defenses are playing lights out, he makes that catch. I thought that, in my head, I said, that's the play. That's the play the Panthers haven't made. And, they're going to come down and they're going to win this game. Of course, an untimely sack forces them to throw a short pass on third down just so they could get into field goal range. They go up 9-6, and then it's 2012 again. Seattle just runs down the field and scores. I mean, it was almost no resistance on that last drive. Just bang, 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 touchdown. Hats off to Seattle. Both offenses were just sloppy. You could tell it was the Panthers are 3-1, but you could tell it was a game between 3-3 teams. Teams that have been mediocre throughout the season. But you could just tell the way the offenses were playing. Credit to the defense of Seattle on that last drive. I mean, I knew when Wilson scored that touchdown that against that secondary, that as bad as Cam Newton was 3/4 of that game, that it was over. But I mean, they didn't even let Carolina gain a yard on that drive. So hats off to Seattle. Some positives from the game are that the defense finally stepped up. I mean, this was going to be a hard game to win for Carolina, because to think that Seattle is going to lose 3 games in a row, that's kind of tough to think that they would do that. But some positives from the game: Jonathan Stewart was running hard. He had a really good game. I think he had almost 80 yards rushing and added another 20 yards receiving. Kelvin Benjamin had almost 100 yards against that secondary. He dropped that touchdown. And then he beat Sherman deep, and Cam just threw it a yard too far. They could have called pass interference, but, as a fan of the NFL and of competitive football, I'm glad they didn't throw a flag on that play. It was a good play. It was 2 guys fighting for position. I'm glad they didn't throw a flag on that play, even though it benefited Seattle. I want to see good, hard competitive football, not this powder puff football that Roger Goodell wants the NFL to become. With all these flags for defensive holding and all that. I'm glad they didn't throw a flag on that play. Some Panthers fans might disagree, but for me, I want to see good competitive football. You should be allowed if you're a defensive player, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I've been saying all along, you should be allowed as a defensive player to fight for position, and that's what that was all about. And Cam just threw it just a little bit too far. If that throws on the money, the interference doesn't matter because Benjamin is too big. He'll make that catch. So hats off to Seattle. I'm not too terribly upset. Obviously, I wanted the Panthers to win this game. They had a really good opportunity. But hey, at least it wasn't 37-10. At least the Panthers weren't down before the game wasn't over in the first quarter, like it was against Green Bay the previous week. So I'm proud of the way the defense played. Against that secondary, they just got Cam's number. I can't be too hard on Cam Newton today. He did make some plays that could have put, again, Carolina could have been up 14-0 at the end of that first quarter. Had to settle for field goals. But Cam was not a good game by any means, but he wasn't terrible. He made a couple of bad decisions, but when you're playing a secondary like that, and they were pissed off coming into the game, it's going to be tough. So I'm going to take a positive outlook. 13-9 against the defending champions is not a terrible loss. Puts them under 500, 3-4-1, which I guess they were under 500 at 3-3-1. I'm not sure exactly how the math works on that, but they're below 500. But you look at this NFC South. Atlanta lost. Tampa Bay lost. New Orleans has a good chance of losing tonight against a very good Green Bay team. It's not, the sky's gonna be up there when I wake up in the morning. When we all wake up in the morning, when I said this was gonna be a swing game for them, I was thinking more along the lines of if they got blown out again. They played good. They played tough. They went nose to nose with Seattle the entire game. They put themselves in a position to win, but holding them to 13 points should have been good enough. And it wasn't. So, it's an ugly loss, but, there's a lot of positives to take. The defense played outstanding. Josh Norman making that interception to keep Carolina in the lead before halftime. It's just hard when you only score 9 points to win a game against the Raiders, against anybody. You only score 9 points, it's going to be hard to win. So, I'm proud of the defense. A little bit disappointed in the offense, but that's Seattle. They've still got a strong defense. They've had some tough games, but that's still a strong team. And they go nose to nose with them the way they did. Hats off to Seattle. Hats off to the Carolina defense being competitive. Looking at the Carolina Panthers the rest of the season, if you look at their schedule, especially if Green Bay gets this win tonight, the only difficult game will be at Philadelphia. I don't think Carolina is going to win that game. I picked Philadelphia to win that in my game-by-game predictions. I'm sticking with it. Thursday night, we got the Saints. You got the Saints twice, Atlanta twice, and Tampa Bay once. 5 out of their last 8 games are against the worst division in the NFL, the NFC South. And then the other 2 games after the Philadelphia game, the other 2 games are Cleveland and Minnesota. One of the things that they talk about is who's hot going into the playoffs. And if Carolina can stay healthy, they can get this win. If they can beat the Saints at home, where the Saints are 0-4 on the road, if they can get this win on Thursday, I'm telling y'all, 4-4-1, and especially if the Saints lose tonight, at 4-4-1, as bad as Carolina's been, as up and down as they've been, they will have a stranglehold on the NFC South. And what that means is a home playoff game. So they could lose to Cleveland and Minnesota, as long as they win their 5 games against the division rivals down the stretch, and you talk about who's hot, Carolina has a chance to go on a run with that schedule towards the end of the season to kind of do what they did last year. And the Panthers, no matter how bad they've been, they've always finished strong under Ron Rivera. And they've got a really good chance after that Philadelphia game. Get this win against New Orleans. Play Philadelphia tough. They're probably not going to win. Doesn't matter because then they've got a very no game's easy in the NFL, but when you look at win-loss records, their schedule's been brutal the first half. Their schedule gets easy in the second half. They can build some momentum, build some confidence going into a playoff run, and who knows what's going to happen. But I really believe they have to beat the New Orleans Saints on Thursday night to get it done. So, it's your boy Brian Cotton. Keep pounding. Stay positive, Panthers fans. The Panthers played a competitive game today. The season's not over. They've got a really good chance to make a run at this thing. So keep pounding, and y'all just have a good night.